Now we're going to the setup of Affinity Photo to get you started. And now they're doing 6 months free trial. I never heard about this before. Like you can have a software to use for 6 months for free, and then you can decide if you want it to go on or not. It's a great deal, isn't it? The trial version is exactly the same like paid version. So if you haven't downloaded Affinity Photo, go ahead, download it, and you can follow all the settings with me.
I've been wanting to switch to Affinity to see what's going on with this software for a long time. So now I finally get time to sit down to do it. So I'm going to go through some settings and I want to create an environment that I'm familiar with when I'm using Photoshop. From my experience, I'm going to go through the setting with you, like how I would set up Affinity Photo. So I'm going to Affinity Photo 2 here and go to settings. Document, reopen document on startup. I don't want that. Hide the file extensions. I want to see the file extension because I need to know, am I opening a PSD or JPEG? That's important information. Automatically update linked resource when modified externally. I don't need this. And save thumbnail. Yes, enable save, but I will leave this unchecked. So this is all good. Okay, import PSD smart objects where possible. Yes. Okay, I don't mind send anonymous usage information. Okay, let's go for the color. Color, I would change it to Adobe RGB because it's got more color. Well, you can opt for Pro Photo RGB, but I do prefer just use this Adobe RGB 1998. And this actually changed to Adobe RGB 1998. This is the YK, CMYK. I don't use it. And the color picture profile, so I'm going to leave it like that. Performance.
I find this undo limit, I need more. So I actually have this 5,000 undo limit. That means that the history will record a lot for me in case I want to go back to certain steps. So I just have this undo limit 5,000. I have encountered that I don't have enough undo limit because sometimes when I clone a lot or I use a lot of brush tool and brush over some area a lot, and that is like every click is one step. And then sometimes when I do that a lot, it built up, it could be hundreds. I have this undo limit more than 5,000. That give me a lot of room that if I want to go back, I can. And these are all can be found in history panel. This is a RAM usage limit. I will also build up a little bit more. It will run faster because it has more storage to use. So actually I will build up to, let's say 25K, and this use the warning at, just give me a warning when there's more than 32K.
Like you can change your font. I would go for large. Yes, large is more comfortable. These are the default setting, but you can always come back to change them if you like.
Photoshop plugins. Most of plugins, they still designed just for Photoshop. But don't worry about it. It's exactly the same how you use them in Affinity Photo. All you have to do is to tell Affinity Photo where are the Photoshop plugins. For example, most of them will be under Photoshop plugins folder. Let me show you. This is from the Affinity Photo help. And here you can see these paths. Usually, the Photoshop folder will be here, like this. Okay, and applications, Adobe Photoshop, and that's the version you have. Okay, and the folder under plugins. And in Windows, I looked up on this blog, Peter, the naturephotographer.com. I found this information for Windows because I'm using Mac. So I have to look it up where is Windows for you, so you don't have to do it. And it's actually here, program files. If you have Topaz Labs, that is where you locate. You just have to tell Affinity Photo where are the plugins, and then it will load it in for you. And that this is for Windows. So I come back to Affinity Photo, and for me is in application. And these are the versions I have, Adobe Photoshop 2024. So this is my latest version. I don't know about yours. I haven't updated for a long time, but just pick the latest one to update. And then I'm going to click OK. So I added this folder. So it will search in this folder. And then let me just add another one. You can see I have alien skin here, and it's just application and alien skin. So I click OK. So this is also added. And this is important. Allow unknown plugins to be used. This has to be ticked. And then when you close it, you will need to restart the Affinity Photo. So I'm going to restart now. Right, so we come back to Affinity Photo and Photoshop plugin. You can see these are all the plugins it have already loaded in for me, right? So let me close this and have a look. You go to Filters, Plugins. So these are all Photoshop plugins. These are Photoshop, they build their plugins. Okay, so these are all included here, their plugins. Exposure software, the previous name is Alien Skin, so it's also loaded in for me now. So that's how you can use Photoshop plugin like you're in Photoshop. When you open the plugin, it will look exactly the same. Essentially, you just load the plugin into Affinity Photo just like you do in Photoshop. There's no difference. But I have been told not all Photoshop plugins work in Affinity Photo. I don't use a lot of plugins, so far the plugins I'm using all can be used in Affinity Photo. You can add all the folders of your plugins. All you have to do is just tell where is the folder. And if you don't know where is the folder of the plugin, go and search for example, like Topaz. You go to Topaz website. So there you are. You can see. So that's how you do it. You go to Topaz. If you have this plugin, you go to show package contents. All right, just right click. And then you got this folder, resource and PS plugins, and you were able to locate where is the plugin. This is the path. You see, this is from Mac. But Mac, this is from the document from topazlab.com. And that's how you find each and every plugins folder. Okay. So that's how you find it in Mac computers. And I'm sure you can find the paths also. Just look it up on internet. You will find where they locate in Windows computer. Because I don't have a Windows, so I can't demonstrate to you. So this is how to install Photoshop plugins into Affinity Photo. Okay, so that's it. That's my setup. The second thing I would like to do is make sure the layers, channels, and they are here. I use layers and channels very often, and also I would like the histories. Okay, histories here, but they are putting in some other places, so not necessary I need brushes now. I will most probably remove brushes here. Channels, I want it back, and brushes, I will remove it. Navigator is histogram is always useful. Color, maybe I would remove it for retouching purpose. And here's navigation. I would just put it down up here. Transformation also here, and history go here. Stock, I don't need stock, so I'm going to just remove it. So this is a much more like the setup I use for Photoshop everyday retouching. If there's anything missing, I will come back for it. And then I want to find where's the keyboard shortcuts. For keyboard shortcuts, you need to go to setting, going back to settings, and you see here is keyboard shortcuts. And here you can see there are different options. This is photo, is this one. Liquify persona is the second one. That means you want to go into do liquify. So I can also do something like that, like liquify persona. I will assign a keyboard shortcut, which is I'm going to do, let's say, Command L. Oh yeah, so this is taken, you see. So when there's a sign here, that means it's taken. So I'm going to use Command Shift and L. So that is okay. And also you can have a look at photo, this mode. There are different modes here, different type of working mode. And that's a liquify working mode. And within photo here, if I want to switch to liquify persona, this is the keyboard shortcut I just assigned. And I also can go to, for example, layers to assign
any keyboard shortcut I want. And it's like these keyboard shortcuts I have already assigned to Photoshop. This is exactly what I use. Command L and Command M for curves. Selected color, I haven't assigned any keyboard shortcut yet, and I will later on. This is saturation actually, so it's Command U. That's what I usually use. So you can see these are a Gaussian blur here. I will assign Command Shift and G. So this has been used. I go and have a look. Who took this keyboard shortcut?
When I pointed to this sign, this yellow triangle, I see it's some Gaussian blur, dot, 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 took this the same keyboard shortcut. So I have to go and find it, and I found it's in layer. When I scroll down, I can see this one, new light filter layer, blur, Gaussian blur. And then it's the same keyboard shortcut. If I don't delete it, it will appear. Every time I press this keyboard shortcut, it will come out with this new light filter layer. And I don't want to use this new light filter layer. I can show you what it is. Okay, so let me just grab my layers. So I'm going to just duplicate this layer, Command J, and I'm going to use my keyboard shortcut, Command Shift and G. So this is live Gaussian blur. This box will appear, and then I can just drag it, right? And we will see the live mode of this Gaussian blur live. And then I'll have to set merge, delete, or reset. This is something I haven't used yet, so I really don't know what is live Gaussian blur, what is the difference with this one and the normal one. So, and every single time if I'm going to use it, it will appear to be like this. Okay, and the normal Gaussian blur, let me show you. The normal one I use is just like Gaussian blur, and this is just Gaussian blur like this, and just you can scroll just the normal panel and apply, become like this. And I prefer to use the one I already know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to settings, and I'm going to just delete this one, new light filter layer. Okay, if you don't delete it, it will pop up a different window than the usual one I use. I do use the normal Gaussian blur a lot when I retouching, so I want to delete this one to avoid the confusion, and it's up to you what you want to do, but this is just my recommendation.
Duplicate. This one, duplicate, is what I usually use, just Command J, right? So, but duplicate selection, it can be the same as well. That's how I use them. So I'm going to leave it like that, and let's test. So I'm going to duplicate. Okay, yes, then it works. And then I'm going to use the selection tool. Here is going to use the freehand tool. So I'm going to select here. I'm going to just use Command J keyboard shortcut. And you will see these two, I assigned the same keyboard shortcut, and it does work the way I want it to be, just like in Photoshop. Okay, and Command D is deselect. This freehand selection tool. For example, if I select it here, and I want to select another area together, I usually just hold on keyboard shortcut Shift, but it doesn't work here. Here I have to hold on Control key to add, and Option key to subtract. Just remember, like in Affinity Photo, you will need to use Control to add selection, Option or Alt key on the PC to remove the selection. This is just the basic setup when I just started to use Affinity Photo. I will keep you updated if there's anything change that I would suggest you to change. I will leave in the comment or make another video. Okay, so this is the walkthrough today, how to transition the setting for Affinity Photo when you migrating or transition from Photoshop to Affinity Photo. So this is just a tutorial today. If you find it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I will talk to you in the next one.